Welcome to the Social for Brokers podcast with me, your host, Chris Target. This podcast is for mortgage brokers and estate agents who are looking to grow their online presence through social media. I'll share tips, best practices and useful tools that will help you save time and ultimately expand your business. So welcome to the Social for Brokers podcast. Today we have Brad Rathbone from the Bespoke Financial Group. So Brad has recently been named #1 protection advisor in Primis in the UK, which is a massive achievement. And we're going to get into how he did it shortly, how he gained his business, how he's got to that point. Now, the best thing about Brad is he's only been doing it 24 months. So if you think somebody coming into a brand new industry, and we'll talk about what he did before, it's huge testament to him. And yes, he does put in the hours. We were speaking last week about how he tends to do some of his calls on a Saturday, does Friday afternoons, and we'll get into that strategy as well. But not only about his work ethic, but he gives a lot of credit to his team and how they've helped him grow. If you know Brad works with Lee Flanagan, which we've had on the podcast before, and he's a huge inspiration to the team, I'm sure. So we're going to get into how he sells insurance in this digital age and what tools he's used to make him so successful. So welcome to the podcast, Brad. Thanks for coming on.
Hi, Chris. Thanks for having me, mate. Thank you.
Obviously, if you're listening to this on audio, you won't see this delightful coat that Brad has got in. So any people that are into a fashion, I'll try and send you the video of this. I'll get a screenshot on social. His jacket is on point, I'm telling you. So thanks for being so stylish. I've got a H&M maroon jumper on, so we're a bit leagues apart, mate, leagues apart. So how's business been so far?
Good, mate. Good. I think coming back after the new year, everyone, I think speaking to everyone in the industry, you get like a little bit of anxiety to come back, don't you? Like you have especially myself, I had a bit more time off this year over Christmas. I had like 3 weeks off. So when you come back, you think like 3 months and 3 weeks, and you think, where do I start again? Like, you know what I mean? You got no calls booked in, or you have minimal booked in, and you come back. But I think when you speak to people, everyone's in the same boat, aren't they? And obviously it just takes one phone call, club, and you're back to it 1 week out of the way, and I've not back really, mate. It's been had a good start to the year. January was really good, and then February has been good. February's always tough, isn't it? Because it's a short month, but it's been good, mate. It's been really good.
Good. I always find coming back after Christmas period is remembering all your passwords. It's like, I know the password getting into the computer, and you just can't. Yeah. Anyway, enough about that. So tell us a bit about before you worked for Bespoke. What did you do?
So how far do you want me to go back, Chris? Do you want me to go back all the way to as far back as I can remember?
School kind of thing, yeah, as far back as you remember, yeah.
So when I left school with quite good grades, but I was one of them kids where I didn't really know what I wanted to do, Chris. Obviously, a lot of people, especially in the Middlesbrough area, were like engineers or following their dad's footsteps, and I didn't really want to do anything like that. I'm not really like the manual type of person. And in my head, I've always come from like sport on background. Family are quite sporty, and for some reason, in my head, in the back of my head, I wanted to be a physio. I don't know why. I thought I wanted to be a physiotherapist, so I went to college, just local college, municipal college, and did my sports science there. To be fair, I actually enjoyed college. I actually did enjoy it. And then I thought, I'll take the step to uni. I think it was just more so following, a bit like a sheep. You know what I mean? Just follow my mates. My mates were going to uni. Some were going to America. And I thought, I'll go to uni. Applied for uni. Thought to start, and I thought, it's not for me. This
really
just not for me. I knew people who had done sports in the past, and I hadn't really got anything from it in terms of work wise, etc. I didn't want to do it. I just thought about it, and I thought, I'm not going to do it. So I just took a little bit of time out of uni. Luckily, in the background, I was working part time through college, and as I was about to start uni in Asda. So I started on the trolleys. When you go to a supermarket and you see the trolleys in the car park, and you see the men collecting all the trolleys and putting them back in the bins. That's what I did.
That's a skill, mate. To keep it in line through the car park.
Honestly, it was. I actually didn't mind it in the summer because you're out, you had your polo on, you're casting a tan, and then got to the winter and you're pushing 36 trolleys through snow, and you think, oh, what am I doing? So I did that for a year, and then I ended up I got like a little upgrade, and I ended up moving into the warehouse out the back, and worked as part of like the home shopping team. So I just did that, mate. And so when I did go to uni, I thought I'm going to take probably a year out of education just to get a grasp of what I actually want to do. And there was a lot of things going from me to go abroad to do things, or I just honestly just didn't have a clue what I wanted to do. And then came across a family friend, a guy called Nathan Steele, who's the principal of Bespoke Health. So he's been a family friend for years, and just had a chat with him, and he mentioned obviously there's a couple of part-time roles going, what we call it influencing, which is where you refer business in to an advisor and you get paid on the back of it. So I did that for a little bit, just did it blind, really. Didn't have a clue if I was going to be any good or what I was going to do. And I was actually quite good in it. The first month, I think even caught Nathan by surprise. And after a month, I passed in 20, 30 leads. So obviously to me at the time, I was like £800 a month from max. So this money was coming, like I was getting paid, and I was thinking, oh my God, like money was going to my bank, and I was thinking, I think my first wage slip was like 1,600 quid, and I thought, wow, this is like money I've never had before. Do you know what I mean? I was like 21 at the time. And then just went from there. And then next thing you know, he said, Lee wants to have a chat with you if you want to come in the office, and then just went from there.
Fair play. Yeah. And I can't wait to get into this, because this is actually going to be more valuable as a podcast than I thought, because you did it. You were an introducer. You had no industry knowledge whatsoever, yet you were providing Bespoke with 20, 30 people a month. So I'm not going to spoil it now. I want people to listen a bit further into the podcast, but we'll get into how you did that, because that's essentially what it is, isn't it? We want leads. How do we get leads? So we can talk through that. That's great. So when did you start for Bespoke, and how old were you?
21. I was 21 when I started influencing, 22 as I started as a full-time advisor.
Okay. Yeah. So when you started, what did you think about the team? What were the overarching values of the company? Would you say that's had a positive influence on your working ability?
Massive, mate, massive. I remember the first day when I walked into the actual Bespoke office, because obviously it was all new to me. I'd never walked into anything like that before. So obviously I was walking up the stairs. I remember in the old offices that we had to walk up the stairs, and never been so nervous in my whole entire life. And I knew we had a training call. That's why I was in. And I walked in, and I just remember like everyone. I sat there, and everyone came up to me, and everyone's like, give me a hug and shake my hand, and no one even knew who I was. They walked around and introduced me to all the admin team, and I just sat there, and I'm like that person. Do you know when you go in a room and you get like the loud people? I'm one of the people. I'll sit back first and like take everything in, look, like analyze it and stuff. And I remember just like listening to conversations, and I thought, wow, this is, like I mentioned, I come from a sporty background, and obviously at the time there was a lot of football lads in there, which made it quite a little bit easier. So kind of reminded me. I always say it reminded me of like football change rooms at first. Like obviously the graph, like everyone graphs, like everyone does work hard, but at the same time they all have a good laugh. I remember just sitting there and like seeing the pranks, and it just put me at ease. And like 1 or 2 days in, I felt like I was at home already. Like really? I got close to so many people straight away, and that helped. But the team is that Bespoke team it's unbelievable, mate. It's unreal.
So that's 2 years ago. So you walked through the door 2 years ago for a training call. Yeah. 2 years later, you're picking up number 1 protection advisor in Primis. So I don't know if you can do, but can you share your numbers of what you made you win that award?
So numbers wise for the full year, God, I know points wise in Primis, which is paid.
Right, that's how it works.
Yeah, so it was 550,000 points. Case wise, so case counts. I believe, you know, I do know these numbers. I believe it was around 1,300 cases last year. God. So that was like 1,300 protection policy. So I might be underselling that there. I think it might be a little bit more, but bang on.
At least 100. So we're talking 25 a week, really, aren't we? 100 a month.
Oh, a minimum. I didn't do a month where I did under 100 protection policies. It was always over 100. The max I did was 189 protection policies, and that was in June 21. So I've got a lot of pressure on me this year to beat that number. So
I think this would be quite interesting for people, because there'll be a lot of people that are thinking of getting into this industry, listening to the podcast. Yeah. There'll be mortgage brokers out there that want to increase their protection numbers. Yeah. Do you find any times of the year are quieter or busier, just to put people at ease and go, oh, well, I'm really quiet in December, but you're like, look, listen, I sell the most protection in Primis. That's normal. Yeah. Do you find that?
Of course. I even now, like, so this week that we're doing now, the kids are off school, so immediately you kind of expect not to be quiet, but you're not going to sell as much just because you're going to have kids off school. I sell most of the time during the day and the odd time on the night. You know what I mean? The daytime now is for parents. It's going to be off. They're going to be with the kids, like off out somewhere. Do you know what I mean? But just in terms of time of the year, of course, we have like the middle of the year. I know it's always going to be busy, but for myself, like I mentioned at the start, December time it's kind of I always class it as like 11-month year.
Right.
Just because December, I kind of like try to wind down and get away, because usually through the year, I don't really have much time off. I like to just graft them when it gets to Christmas time, then enjoy my time off then.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it all just depends in terms of. I think you can, if you want a month where you want it busy, you can make it busy. Like you could make I could make December busy if I wanted to make it busy. I think it's all just down to what you're doing. Like I mentioned, you are just with everything. Do you know what I mean? You are going to get times when you're not as busy. You are going to get days where you're not that busy, but it all adds up, doesn't it? And it all works out.
Okay, so two things I think would be really valuable for people listening is, first, what does a phone call look like to you? Is it a structured one, or is it that you play it by ear? And I don't want you to give away trade secrets here, but I think it'd be interesting for people to know what makes you so successful.
So there's two different types of phone calls that I'll talk you through. So my first phone call to a client is always, it's like an introduction. So if I get a referral from let's just say one of my friends, I have like set days where, so it depends on obviously what I've got planned for the week, but Saturday mornings usually religiously I'll be in the office for 9:30 till 12. I'll have a little blast where all the referrals I've got from the week, I'll give the client a call, go for what we call intro reason close. Sorry. So obviously I'll introduce myself as who I am and where I'm working from, the reason that I'm giving my call. So let's just say I got your number passed from Chris just regarding the life insurance, obviously whatever. In closing, just saying, obviously, can I help you? Is there anything I can help you with? Can I catch you on Monday, Tuesday next week? Say Monday, and then it's afternoon, evening, morning, afternoon, or evening. So that'll be my first, and that literally is like it's 30-second phone call. That one, it's just to introduce myself and get that appointment booked in. So that's when I'm filling my diary up. And then when that diary's full, and that appointment's fully set in, then I will obviously, let's just say if it's a Monday at 9:30, then that's when we kind of booking that half an hour out then. With that client. I don't know if I assume most protection advisors will probably do a similar thing along those lines. But in that half an hour one, I wouldn't say it's structured, because a lot of my business, a lot of my sales, etc., I put down to building rapport with clients. So literally every client I speak to is different. So it couldn't be structured. The only thing is structured, obviously, the fact finding and stuff that I go through in terms of the medical, etc., making sure I'm getting all them right details. But like I mentioned, I wouldn't class my actual appointment phone call as being structured, just because, like I mentioned, I put all my sales down to building rapport, and like I mentioned, everyone is different with that. So it's.
I suppose it's a great way. The way that Bespoke is set up is if you've got an influencer that used to be you that's introducing their leads, there's more chance if it's one of your introducers, you'll kind of know that person, or you'll move in the same circles. So you've instantly got a friend finder straight away, I suppose, to talk about, haven't you?
Massive, and that's like one thing I always say is when I have influencers who give me leads, I'll always try and get a bit of background on my clients straight away. So let's just say if we pass someone in, it's come from most of my influencers have got a sporty background. So 9 times out of 10, the people that are passing in is going to come from a sporty background as well. So as soon as I get on the phone, I'm just trying to establish like a connection straight away, whether it's football, whether it's golf, holidays, kids, anything. Do you know what I mean? Anything I can get my hands on like that I'm going to link with. And I'll have a chat for 5 minutes. When I get on the phone, first 5 minutes, I don't even mention insurance. Honestly, I don't want this. No one wants to get on the phone. It's funny. Yeah. I'm selling insurance, but no one wants to get on the phone and talk about insurance. You know what I mean? You want to have a bit of crack. And I always say that by the time I get off the phone, obviously I want to make sure that our family's protected, right? But I want that client to feel like they have a friend as well. And same for me. Like, do you know what I mean? Some of my clients now are like my best friends. It's mental.
And that's the most successful people that I've had on the podcast and dealt with in the past.
Yeah,
they do have friends because they're much more likely to come back to you. And the power of social media, obviously I'm big on social, but it allows you, and this isn't being creepy whatsoever, if you know you've got a call with somebody, they've got a profile on social media. You can find out what their interests are. One of the best stories I've ever heard, if you ever follow Gary Vee, is when a bloke bought a crate of wine from him and he found out, I think maybe he was like a Jets fan or something. So he bought a piece of Jets memorabilia and sent it to him. Without social media, he would never have seen him talking about it on Twitter. So I suppose social media helps you as well gain that rapport by finding out what their interests are.
Yeah, massive.
Nothing wrong with it,
Massive.
is there?
No, of course not. Of course, I'm assuming like if the client knows your name as well before the call, then they're going to look at yourself as well, aren't it?
Yeah.
Especially everything now with COVID and stuff. When you're working over the phone, people like to put like a face to the name, don't they? Well, I do. I know I do anyway.
Yeah.
So I like to actually know who I'm talking to. Like, yeah, it's and like you mentioned, it's profile, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? You get on the phone and you know they've got kids, and you know the support like myself, the support middles were like myself, and then if you talk about that straight away, then it's just obviously our industry's built on trust. There's more trust there straight away.
Here's a quick one for you. Have you got to be a Middlesbrough fan to work at Bespoke, or are you allowed to support other teams? You forced
No, they actually isn't that many Middlesbrough fans in the office. You know,
Neither in the UK, mate, either.
Chrissy Wilder's got us flying on it, so we'll be picking up soon, mate, don't worry.
Right, so let's get onto the social media section and how we use these to generate leads. It might not be necessarily use social media to generate leads all the time, but on social media, what are your 3 top tips or any top tips you could give someone on how to win leads? And it could be the use of influencers, it could be just cold hard DMing people. What would you do?
Yeah. So one thing when I started, when you touched on at the start with my influencing, that's the first time I'd really ever used social media for business. And that's when I seen my first bit of success. I remember when I started, just put like a daft little post out saying, obviously just letting people know that I'd started as an influencer for Bespoke and obviously offering the services. And I remember at the time it went through the roof in terms of interaction with likes and comments and people sharing it and people messaging. And I thought, well, this is easy. I remember sitting there thinking this was easy.
One post out.
Yeah, and obviously I'd say like where I am, like obviously from the background that I was with people in Asda, that suited me perfect because I was working with a lot of like middle-aged people, working class. They were just commenting straight away saying obviously congratulations, like and that's just when I was messaged straight away was going into them. Like I was just honestly at the time 21 old, I was ruthless. I was just messaging everyone. And that obviously interaction from that. I remember I was when I started as an influencer, as soon as I put the post out, 7 leads came from that post straight away. All converted. And I just thought, that's when I thought this is so easy.
So if we just strip that post back, because I know you guys at Bespoke are big on this, that was simply just asking for the business, wasn't it? What's the harm of just putting a post out going, I do this, does anybody want any help with this?
Of course, nothing. Literally, I was having this conversation with someone who's starting out on Friday as well, and she said like she put a post out and she didn't get no interaction from it in terms of just letting people know what she's doing. But I said to her, like, obviously I put that post out firstly and I've got loads of interaction, and then I've done it since and not got a lot of interaction. But I said, like, it's sticking in people's minds now. You know what I mean? And when else, even like now we can go out and you can go to pubs and you can mix with people. It's still on the mind. And as soon as I think of life insurance or I think of any insurance at all, I think of Brad. So that's what I said. They were like, it's just sticking with people. You might not get loads of interaction. You might not get no leads from it at all, but you're still reaching people with it. You know what I mean? It's still giving people that awareness.
That massive smile on my face, because that is a big thing. It's not about breaking the internet with one post, is it? It's just consistently drip feeding to your clients. So what do you do to drip feed? What social media platforms do you use? What content do you put out there? Because a lot of the people that listen to this struggle with what to talk about, and especially protection, because as you say, nobody wants to talk about insurance.
Yeah, so this is something this year that I've spent a lot of time with Leon. I'm not gonna say I'm a wizard on social media. I'm not great on social media. It's something that at the start of the year when I sat down with Lee, we mentioned development and where I can improve. Social media is right at the top of my list. It's something I've got to improve, and I think that's just the way the industry's going as well. With that, so. What was the question?
So what are you doing internally? He's got that much development in his head, he can't remember the questions. So what are you doing on social media at the minute? What are you doing to develop? Because you're obviously getting a lot of leads as we speak. Are your clients shouting about you on social media, or what are you learning to do on social?
Yeah, so one of the biggest things I've took from Lee this year so far with the one-on-ones and the way he's helped me is it's just simple. All he tells me to do is document my day. So in our industry, I always say is people buy from people, which they do. So if I'm putting on social media every day about life insurance and this and income protection and kids criticalness, people are thinking, God, you give it a rest, you know what I mean? Whereas I'm putting stuff on to actually document my day, not even, and then drip feeding the life insurance in every once a week, twice a week. And people actually think, oh, do you know what? It's actually a really real person. It's actually it's actually a normal lad, which I am. Like everyone who knows me will know that I'm like just a normal bro lad. You know what I mean? I do normal things.
Do you get more interaction on the stuff that you document than you do on the business stuff?
Yeah. Honestly, I do. Like if I put a business post out, get a mild interaction. Whereas if I put a personal post out or like a one in the middle, like I get a lot of interaction on it. I said to Lee, so I don't really use LinkedIn. A lot of my stuff that I do is Facebook. But LinkedIn is something that I'm working on and something that I'm going to improve on. And I remember after I won my award, with the Primis award, my best mate plays for Middlesbrough as well, and they played Manchester United the next day.
Yeah.
So obviously that was like a personal side of things, and obviously you're playing centre half against Ronaldo, and he had Ronaldo in his back pocket. Honestly, he was a joke. And it's been one of my best mates since I've been a kid. And I remember putting a LinkedIn post on the next day, and I put about myself winning the trophy, and then I put about him on there as well. And obviously that it was the first post I'd ever put on LinkedIn, and the interaction went through the roof. I messaged Lee and I said, "Well, it's got like obviously for me, I'm not putting a post on LinkedIn. I think I had like 10,000 views, and I was like, wow, like how was it?" And he just replied to me saying, do you know how to double it? I said, I said, would you like to know how to double it? I said, yes, please. Just replied saying, do 2 posts a day. I think, God, it's relentless.
Do you know what's funny though? I remember that post because after I'd booked you onto the podcast, I was on LinkedIn and then you popped up and there was a photo of you with your award and somebody playing football. And I was like, them two didn't get together. I'm going to click on it. And then I read the post because of it. Now, if that was just you holding your trophy, or maybe it was just a post saying, I've just won an award, blah, 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 probably wouldn't have looked at it. But because you had something different that I always say, we try and, especially with our content, we try and create content that stops people. And I don't want to nick Wanda's kind of Wanda Films. If you look at their content, it's awesome. They're all about beat the scroll, stopping people from scrolling. That's all we're trying to do on social. We're trying to stop people from scrolling onto the next post. So you need to do something different to stand out, don't you? And you've obviously doing that. Now, generating your leads, obviously you didn't do it on social. So how did you generate the majority of your leads to win the award?
It's a range of different, obviously leads coming from as many possible angles as you can get is the main aim to do it. But most of my business it's all referral based, and they come from, obviously a part of that is coming from influencers, introducers.
What do you do to get what do people do to refer? So I know Lee spoke about a specific way he does it on social, or do you say to everybody at the end of the call, tell me 5 people that I could help?
Yeah, so obviously I'm signposting that as I'm going through anyway. So I'm mentioning that obviously I'm self-employed. Everything that we do is self-referral. And just at the end of the call, so one of the things I'll say at the end of the call is, I don't want to, let's say when I do this, I don't want everyone to come across pussy. Do you know what I mean? If someone says no to me, then that's fine. Do you know what I mean? I'm not going to say, well, come on. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'll just say at the end of the call, obviously everything will come through the portal. So I'll be happy with everything. Perfect. If you need anything, let me know. On the back of it, obviously, if you know anyone at all that we can help, anyone with kids, mortgages, self-employed people, anyone that we can help with the life insurance as well, please let me know. Obviously, if you send me the number, I'll get in touch with them. And if anything comes back, obviously, I'll help you out as well, whether it's a little gift or anything like that along the lines. But then most of my stuff will come from obviously referrals on social media. So like I mentioned, obviously with yourself, just putting a post on social media, just getting the client to say, obviously, thank you for doing X, Y, and Z. It saved me £20 a month, and I'm getting a better level of cover. That goes a long way. That, because then it's real, isn't it? It's people, and then again, it's reaching another person's network that I would never have reached. Yeah. Sorry, I've got a call coming through there.
That's right. This is it, guys. He's on the podcast. He's still got business flying through his phone. I'm just gonna touch on that because I did speak to Lee about this on the podcast before, and I want to try and drive this home. Really, is what Brad's talking about there is, instead of getting somebody to leave a review on your Facebook page, you're asking them to write a Facebook post, but tagging into it, because that post will reach all of their network, won't it? That's what you guys are really big on, and it was a bit like a mind shift for me. I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah, because I always remember Lee saying to me, they post on my wall, it only goes to my network, and they already know that what I do with the posts and just who I am. Whereas if this client is, let's just say, for example, obviously like Middlesbrough middle base, let's just say a client from Sunderland or Sheffield, and they're putting on their actual Facebook, and obviously Lee says tag friends, get them to tag their friends in as well. But even if they just put a post, it's still going to reach their network, and like I mentioned, to them, I'm a name that they've never seen before, so it's interesting straight away. They're going to click on my profile, look at my profile, and I mentioned if it gets a couple of comments on there, then perfect. It's better than nothing, isn't it?
And then what can happen is they click on your profile, as you said, go through to it, see a couple of posts about you supporting Middlesbrough, that you've been down the football at the weekend. All of a sudden, they're like, well, do I phone Brad about my life insurance, or do I phone Mary Smith, who I don't know anything about Mary Smith? Well, I'm much more likely to phone Brad because I know a bit about him. I feel more comfortable knowing that one of my friends has used him.
Yeah.
Great way to do it. Right. So then let's get on to the strategy question. So this is one I ask everybody, and I always send the question before the podcast just to give you a bit of a heads up. So we're going to pretend that you've moved to Scotland, north of Scotland, we'll say. You've got a laptop, a mobile phone, and an internet connection. This could be quite easy for you because you were an influencer, but what would you do to start generating new leads?
I love this question,
Do you?
I love it. Since you told me, right, I think about it all the time, because it's kind of like, it's a million pound question, really, isn't it? It's like, everyone's answer is going to be different, Anna. Everyone's going to have a different way.
Exactly.
For me, I'd make sure my laptop was fully charged, my phone was fully charged.
No, I've never had that response in 43 episodes. I've never had that one. So fair play. I didn't talk about a charger, so you might have to nip to a cafe.
And honestly, what would do during the day, I'd put myself somewhere, the busiest place you can find, whether it's a Costa or I don't know if they'd have a Costa in this little village in Scotland, but it was like a Costa or whatever, just somewhere that is busy, got people coming in and out of, sit there. Obviously, you're not going to be busy at the time because you're not going to have any clients at the minute, but make yourself look busy as you can. And network with people, just get talking to people. The more, as I say, the more hand you shake, the more money you make, which is true. The more people that you talk to, the more appointments you're going to get. So during the day, I'd put myself in there. If you sit there all day, you're going to have people coming past asking you if you're all right. And if people are going to hear you on the phone, they're going to say, what is it that you do? You get it now. Even I get it now. I'll try and work in a different place, like whether it's a Costa or I'm in a Hilton hotel now. I work in a Hilton hotel downstairs. You get people walking past asking how are you? You're still doing insurance, yeah. And so I do that during the day. So I'll be in a Costa or in a busy place during the day, somewhere where I can network. On a night, it's going to be. I think this is going to be the important one. It's again somewhere that's busy. So you might laugh at you, but I'm honestly going to say somewhere like get yourself to a pub or restaurants on a night. If you sat in a pub on your own, someone's going to come over, aren't they? Someone's going to talk.
Yeah,
someone's going to come and talk to you. And again, it's just networking with that person. They're going to ask you what you do for work. You're going to get onto that. Then that's a start. And as soon as you get one client, and it's got to be a snowball, because you're going to get referrals from the client. You're going to get social media posts from that client. Then people in that, as soon as that social media post comes on, his mate, the next time he comes in the pub, he's going to come and sit you again, and he's going to say, "You're that insurance man, aren't you?" And then one thing that we're big on at Bespoke, which is it's going to link with the pub stuff. You're going to network. You're going to find out sports teams. You're going to find out who's the local football team around here, who's the captain. Get yourself to them sports teams on the weekend. Get yourself doing team talks, and you're always going to get business on the back of.
Have you ever done that yourself? I know Lee's very big in it. Have you done the kind of football and gone and spoken to football teams?
When I started the first 6 months, obviously I was quite limited because COVID kicked in in Feb. But when I first started, that January, February time, every weekend I'd come in on a Saturday, do my phone calls, and I'd have a team talk to do at like 1 o'clock. So I'd go obviously I'd have a plan before and go in the home change rooms, do my team talk, which is literally 2 minutes max, and then go out the door into the away change rooms, do it again. Obviously text the gaffers after the game, ask how they got on.
Takes a lot of balls to do that. Excuse me, but do you know what I mean? That's to go and stand in a. So what Brad's talking about here, Lee spoke about it on the podcast he was on as well. Is he will go to a football game where there's you've got 30 blokes, and at half time or at the beginning of the game or at the end of the game, he will go and stand in the dressing room and talk to them about life insurance, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Do you know what? I just going back on how scary it was. I remember the first one I did. Honestly, I've never, like I mentioned, I was 21 at the time. Traveled to a school where it was about half an hour away, where these lads were playing. And I actually knew a couple of lads who were playing in the team, which kind of made it a little bit easier. But honestly, at the time, didn't make it easier at all. I remember just pulling up, and you know when I was sat in my car, and I was thinking, I really need to do this. Like, I was thinking, I hope the game gets called off. I hope I get in. And there's no one there.
Isn't it?
Yeah, and I remember just opening the door of the school, and all I could do was like boom, 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 like loud music, and I thought, oh my God. And I was thinking, this can't be them. As I was getting closer where the changing rooms were, honestly, it was getting louder, and I just thought, oh, it's them. Knocked on the door, captain opened the door, and I was like, oh, wow. All the lads were like jumping about. They hadn't even kicked off, they hadn't even played the game. The lads were bouncing about, and I thought, oh, what am I going to do here? So I remember going, I was like, I am a shy person. Like, before I started this job, I was even shyer than what I am now.
So it was a big thing.
Me going in there, it was massive, yeah. And I remember just being stood in the corner, and all the lads were quiet, and you just got to think, you've got 25 football lads staring at you, and you're thinking, oh God, you just want the ground to swallow you up. But then you start talking, and you get through it, and like I mentioned, it's a minute, 2 minutes max, because that's all I want you for. You know, lads yourself, a minute and a half, they just switch off straight away. You just got to blast out. And honestly, I walked out the change rooms after, and it was the best feeling in the world. Honestly, it was. And I remember it was a Saturday. I remember just getting back into my car, putting the music on, and I thought, well, that was mint. And honestly, I got that was in February. That in February, like for people in protection knows what like £1,000 a month was. That was my second month. I did £1,000 in that month in premium, and that was all I wanted team talks. Remember, I did a day in, and I did. Now it's like my normal target, but I did like 150 quid premium in a day, and I was like, wow. Like, and that was all. Literally every single one of them sales was from the back of a team talk. It's not just like income protection that was selling. It was like life insurance, critical illness. Because when you get in there, you have like middle-aged 40 lads, 30-year-olds. They've all got mortgages or kids, or they've got one or the other. Do you know what I mean? So you're always
break a leg or something of football, and you need something in place.
Exactly.
And you tend to find there's a lot of people that are self-employed as well, aren't they? You're playing football, nothing to fall back on.
Yeah, do you know what? It's the best thing ever. It's going to sound harsh, but there's nothing better when you walk in a changing room, a footy changing room, you see someone sat there with a foot on, or someone's not playing because they're injured. No, what have you done? Oh, mate, I broke my arm. Nightmare. Do you know what I mean? You'd go $3,000 for that. You'd go $4,000 for that.
Really?
Yeah, and then all the lads are switched on. Then do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I remember. Yeah, it's a little icebreaker, because you have a little bit of. You want to go in and you want to have a laugh with the lads. You know what I mean? You don't want to go in and be all serious saying, "Oh, I mean, just like the insurance man," and you not have a laugh. You want to get in and have a bit of crack with them, and like you mentioned, you get them on side, and like it all goes down to just being a normal person, and like you mentioned, building a good rapport with them.
But you have to you've put yourself in quite a scary situation there, haven't you? But it's paid off. Yeah. What's interesting, that team talk, I mean, I love that concept. But the one thing that you said that I've not heard anybody else say is, yes, they've said the coffee shops, but the restaurants and the bars at night, that's a massive. Yeah. I think what you're good at is you're picking out places and you think, right, where's got the most footfall? Where can I speak to people? Because you can't forget that owners of those businesses are real people as well. You could be chatting to the barman and he could be talking about life insurance. You know what I mean? It's not just the customers that are coming in. Really interesting way of,
we have an advisor at Bespoke, a guy called Sean, and I swear he's the best networker I've ever seen in my life.
Really?
And we honestly, he's unbelievable. And like I'll be in the office on like a Saturday morning doing my like grafting, doing my phone calls and stuff. And like he'll just go to a pub on a Saturday night, and I've literally went before and just watch him, and he'll just go and sit and talk to people, and he'll come back and I'll be like, "Where have you been?" He's like, "Oh, I've got 8 appointments," and I'm thinking, I had to sit in phone call this morning, 2 hours just picking the phone to people. I got 7 appointments booked in 2 hours in a pub and a couple of pints, and you've got, and that's literally where that's come from there. Like it's the best way to do it is just network, and just like I mentioned, the more people you know, the more appointments you're going to get, the more recognised you're going to be, and that's just what
I think what you've said there is there's no substitute for meeting people face to face, is there? So pubs, restaurants, coffee shops, but what you've spoke about social is social gives them a great way to verify you as a human being. Do you know what I mean? They could meet you in the pub and then follow me on social. I went to a networking event the other night. Follow me on social, get me on social. Because after that conversation goes, they're never really going to do it there and then. But they're never going to do it after then. To get them to do it there and then they could maybe spend 3 months looking at your content. Then they're on the phone to you.
Yeah, exactly.
You need that mix of the both, don't you? So
Definitely.
coffee shops and restaurants, that's the main areas that you'd recommend, and take your laptop with you. What's interesting is you haven't really spoken about setting up social media pages, and there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. It's interesting because people from Bespoke think very much about the people, and that's why the business is so successful as it is.
Yeah, I think that social media comes on the back of it, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean? Like I mentioned, once you get that first client, and then that's when you've got to, then you can obviously that's when you've got to maximise your social media there from there with the referrals, haven't you? And then you're growing from there.
Awesome, mate. Well, I hope people have got a few golden nuggets there. There's loads in there that they can pick. It's interesting to hear about the way that you do the phone calls. It's interesting to talk about how you did the football team talk. But massively, it's about building that rapport, isn't it? That's why you've become so successful.
Definitely, mate. 100%. That's what every bit of my success that I've got, especially with appointments, it's down to building rapport and building that relationship with clients. It's massive.
Awesome, mate. Well, before we cut off the podcast, I asked you before we started, I'll donate £10 to a charity of your choice to say a thank you for coming on. Which charity did you want to make the donation to?
Thank you for that, mate. So we have a woman based in Middlesbrough called Gemma Lee. So just to give you a little bit of a background and for everyone listening as well, it's a massive story. Gemma was diagnosed with a cancer a few years ago. It was a rare form of cancer, and she only got a certain amount of time left to live. But Gemma receives treatment now, which is it costs £5,000 a month just for her to live, to be able to survive. So it costs 60 grand a year. You might have seen it on social media. To be fair,
I have seen a few.
Her husband is the manager at Hartlepool, and when they played Crystal Palace in the FA Cup, Crystal Palace raised enough money for her to have a year's worth of treatment. So it's just a constant fundraiser for Gemma to be able to survive and to be able to keep living. So that'll be my charity, mate.
Fantastic. Well, Brad, before we cut off, thank you so much for coming on, and congratulations on the award, mate. Number one. That must feel good to have. Did you get a trophy and everything? Yeah.
Yeah, mate, I've got a trophy. It weighs a ton as well. Yeah, I've got
can't take it now.
No.
Brad, thanks very much for coming on. And if anybody wants to have a chat with Brad, I'm sure your inbox is open. You're going to be big on LinkedIn. You're big on socials, Facebook, Instagram as well.
100%, mate. If anyone any questions or wants a phone call, just drop into my LinkedIn, and I'm more than open for that. Yeah, chuck my number about, and you can have a conversation. It's absolutely fine. Yeah.
Awesome, Brad. Thanks again, mate. Speak to you soon.
Thank you, mate. Cheers. Thank you.